morning. I just got a buzz on my iPhone of some important news about Philip Morris International, but I was very careful not to look at it because I want to be surprised. But I'm really happy to be with Jacek Olczyk, the CEO of PMI, and with Governor Lamont and with Indra Nooyi, who will be taking over the program in a couple of minutes. I just wanted to say a couple of words about Connecticut and how well things are going here. Governor Lamont refers to the Connecticut comeback. And when you think about that, all the good things that he's doing are helping to make that comeback possible. It's really remarkable the number of companies, large and small, that are finding their way to Connecticut's door because they understand that what we have is what we want, is what they want. And it's what 14 Fortune 500 companies want. And it's what 20,000 net address changes into Connecticut in the last year want. We have natural strengths that we build on, whether we're talking about our amazing location, which is actually less than 45 minutes from and even part of the largest, most important, let's say, metropolis in the world. The quality of life we have in our state. When you think about Connecticut ranked in the top 5 in all aspects of education, particularly advanced education, healthcare quality, access to healthcare, it goes on and on, all the assets that we have. And we realize that we can't rest on our laurels, that we have to build on our strengths. And one of the things that Governor Lamont did from day one was that he wanted Indra and me to co-chair Advanced CT, to become a business-driven, private, not-for-profit organization that would actively pursue business development and engagement in the state. And it would be business working with government in a private-public partnership to make sure that we understood what businesses needed and that we delivered to them and to all of our citizens. You think about the business environment and the many things that have been done already to improve that environment, make it more business-friendly, from streamlining the business processes, speeding them up, making them more efficient. You think about a focus on transportation to ease the pain points along the way so that people can get where they want faster and with less hassle. Think about workforce development. We have a great workforce, but we must constantly be developing that workforce as well. And so in public-private partnership and through the Governor's Workforce Council, we've made great strides in making sure that we connect businesses with educators and state agencies to be sure that we build the workforce that our businesses need so they won't have to leave the state. So Advanced CT is that private, not-for-profit that works on business development, marketing the state, interacting with businesses, working on workforce development, and assisting the governor in every way that we possibly can. And that's part of what Indra and I celebrate, and I know that Governor Lamont does as well. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to my friend and my co-chair, Indra Nooyi, who is an inspiration to me at every turn. Thank you, Indra.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim, and thank you all for getting up this morning to come here so early for an important announcement for Connecticut. I must say it's been a privilege, it is a privilege serving as co-chair of Advanced CT because I get to know Jim Smith. He is just an amazing individual, and Jim, you've enriched my life just being part of it. Thank you. And it's wonderful to be here at the Village. What a gem this is. It's interesting, in Connecticut there are so many gems like the Village and other sites. Every time I go around the state, I'm finding yet another gem. So please, go around, enjoy the state. The state is open for business. We're here actually to celebrate a victory for Connecticut, for the state I love, and a state I serve. I think it's fitting that we find ourselves here in the Village because it represents a modern, dynamic, youthful Connecticut. And it symbolizes something that all of us in the state are beginning to feel right now. It's a momentum. It's a feeling of renewal and optimism. And thanks to you, Governor, for evoking all these feelings. And for all of you who are lucky enough to call Connecticut home, I'm sure you feel it too, because there's really a change in the air. And I'm here to talk today about one point in the spectrum of change, a new corporate investment coming our way. This company chose Connecticut because of all the things we represent and the many attributes and assets that we have, many of which Jim just talked about. We have industries that have built on our culture of quality and our inherent curiosity in the state that has made Connecticut one of the most innovative states in the country. We have talent, we have an abundance of well-educated and gifted people. We have a world-class education system, and people enjoy a quality of life that we often boast about. Something that's near and dear to my heart, we have fantastic childcare facilities, and Connecticut is very friendly towards women who want to work. Please go around telling people that, because this is an awesome state for women to work and for young family builders to actually build a family. Because in today's very competitive business world, talent determines your fate, and we should draw from the entire population. You have to locate your business in a state that has talent, and in a state where talent wants to live and enjoy their life. The ability to use your location as a recruitment tool is mission critical to your competitive advantage. And I'm delighted to introduce today a business leader who understands all of these aspects and has made a decision to bring his company to Connecticut. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege and pleasure to introduce to you Jacek Olczyk, Chief Executive Officer of Philip Morris International. Jacek, welcome to Connecticut.
Thank you. As this is our first trip, when Philip Morris International people, international trip due to the situation, as we all know. You may not know what the jet lag is. We're getting reminded what the jet lag is. So I decided to put a couple of points on a piece of paper just in case my biological body brings me back to the European time. So I'm very delighted to be in Connecticut, and very, very thankful to Indra, James, and Peter, and the entire actually Advanced City team for hosting this event. And I have to go back, I guess, to our first meeting with, in Connecticut, which I guess was September 2019. I do remember from this meeting two things. Weather was really miserable. And I said, this is really the place you told me that is, climate almost like yours and not a major thing. The atmosphere, however, how we've been received was absolutely fabulous. And I remember that it was you, Indra, there were many other people, Governor, when we met. And that's something which stayed in our mind, our chairman, Andre Kalantzopoulos, who is with us. I said, Andre, we've done the business on an international basis for 30 years. We've been opening markets. We've been relocating our offices. We've been locating our manufacturing facilities, etc. Where is the place when you had such a good impression from the first visit you had? And we couldn't find that place. And you know Indra very well, as your former company. I mean, we're on the very global international operations. We're very pleased. We're even more pleased that nobody was asking us what we will bring in, as we didn't ask what you will give us. So we had a very civil conversation. What we're trying to do as the corporate, why we want to relocate, why we're looking for the new place for the corporate headquarters, and we had the conversations. What the state has it. There was no push, no pull, a very normal conversation. So the several other meetings which we have afterward just confirm that maybe that's the environment which are actually looking for the new Philip Morris International Corporate Headquarters. Was mentioned by all of you when you do your marketing speech about the Connecticut and why people should come here and all the great conditions for the people, women, business, etc. And I've seen in my career many, many marketing brochures, and I have to tell you, you're walking the talk. Okay, which is not that often happening, right? Because people on the piece of paper, on the poster, they promise you the word, nobody can deliver. But actually I get the feeling that most of the things you're talking about, you should be proud because you deliver, and this is what stands behind our decisions of why we want to come here. So I don't want to go for the repetition of the things which you have on your state brochures and marketing material, but I can testify that this is true, okay, what is there. Many of you, and I think I owe it because on most of our trips and the conversations, I always have to clarify who is Philip Morris International and what is not Philip Morris International. Some of you may know or may remember Philip Morris International was the spin-off of Philip Morris USA or Altria in 2008, and since then we are an independent company. We don't sell cigarettes as you know them on the US territory in any state. Actually, the vision, which was very clearly stated from Philip Morris International from the very beginning, is to invest into science and develop the products which are vastly better alternative than a continuing smoking for the people who otherwise anyway would continue smoking. We put a very high bar for Philip Morris International, and I vividly remember how we've invested in the science. Can you imagine a so-called big tobacco company investing in a science 10 or 12 years ago? What oppositions we have been confronted with, how people were very reluctant to join us to work on the products which I do believe can save on a global basis the lives of 1 billion smokers for a better, because otherwise they would essentially will continue with the habit which they have today. We fast way forward, 5 years ago we started commercializations of our product. We also, and we are very, very proud of that, demonstrated that this product is not only the subject or opinions about this product, of what these products do, what they don't do, is not just the internal Philip Morris thinking, but we really subject ourselves to the highest level of scrutiny, which is nothing else than the Food and Drug Administration review of the entirety of the evidence which about this product was submitted, not only from Philip Morris, but any other piece of an evidence, and concluded that that product actually is the better alternative than a continuing smoking. You can go to the FDA website, so you can use the shortcut, go to the PMI.com, and you will learn all about this. So we make something which was unheard of. We said, okay, we will solve the problem of smoking. Therefore, you can again go to the PMI.com. It's one of the first companies, at least from the companies I know, so no offenses, which have stated very clearly what is the purpose of the company in a statement of purpose which last year was filed with our proxy statement, etc. And very, very clearly, despite the fact that yes, we are a big tobacco company, we said that our objective is to get rid of cigarettes and replace them with the better alternatives for those people who otherwise would continue to smoke. So on a number of occasions, you will mix us, right, with the Philip Morris USA and Altria, which is the company which sells Marlboro and other brands on the US territory, and Philip Morris International. I use that comparison. Maybe it's not the most appropriate, but anyway, the comparison is we get divorced, but we forgot to change our names. Now, why we're coming here is also where we want to drive Philip Morris International going forward. Obviously, one thing is into the territory of the reduced risk products, solve the problem of smoking. But there is another new, very, very exciting chapter in the Philip Morris International, which we're about to start writing. Once we've been working on the new products and the alternative to smoking, we invested very heavily in the top-notch science and expertise, especially when it comes to the respiratory pathways in the human body, etc. So our next chapter is then we were going into the program which we call internally, but also externally, beyond nicotine. So products, the solutions, which I believe can improve the lives of the people, nothing to do with smokers, nothing to do with tobacco, nothing to do with nicotine. And I do believe that this company has the right to claim or to play in this territory because we're bringing something to the table, which I have to admit very often was also neglected by the pharmaceutical industry, i.e. the respiratory ways of delivering the active substances, drugs, etc. So you'll hear more about this whole things, and we have quite a lot of researchers on many other substances, botanicals, etc. So I think part of the ecosystem which you have already created, which you already have in Connecticut, is actually something which I believe will find, at least to some extent, some connectivity, some synergies, etc., which we could operate in this territory. And the last thing, just to prove how serious we are about changing Philip Morris International, is I said it on a number of occasions in public, that I do believe, still within my lifespan, I will have to remind people that Philip Morris International was the company which used to sell cigarettes. Because we will go completely smoke-free and we'll go into territories which, 5, 6 years ago was just the PowerPoint. But we walked the talk very successfully over the last 6 years, and I believe with the also help of the place like this, we'll continue our very successful journey. So thank you very much for your attention. Governor, I'm so pleased that you are receiving us in the for your support, and I hope we're gonna meet more frequently and we can learn from us. And my people and my company and our company will bring something to the state as well, which we both jointly will be proud of. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I now invite Governor Lamont to make a few comments.
Well, Jacek and Andre and Philip Morris International, welcome to Connecticut. Welcome to Connecticut. We'll be ready to show you around the neighborhoods and what makes this state so special. I'll just pick up on something, Jacek said. I mean, it started out with a relationship. We just had a mutual associate, a friend, got us introduced. Most states do this by having the governor go on TV or do direct call. We just did this on a personal basis. And I think that's what you said. And as you said, we first got together, it wasn't all about the numbers. I think I tried to boast a little bit that we're slowly getting our fiscal house in order here in Connecticut. We haven't had to raise taxes, and I think you have an idea of where the state's going to be, not just for the next 2 years, but longer than that. But it was not just about the numbers. We talked a lot about what I thought made this state special and why it could be special for PMI. We talked about the fact, as Jim mentioned, that we have some of the best schools in the world here. Mm-hmm. We have a great K through 12 education, great public education, great independent schools, great international schools. French, Japanese, international baccalaureate. I think I boasted about the fact that this is a state, we have sort of a stodgy image sometimes, but really prize ourselves on our diversity and tolerance. And that means not just from an ethnic point of view, but also from an international point of view. It's an incredibly international state. We're very proud of that. I think you're going to feel right at home here right now. We have, 700 different international companies. Now 701 is really big deal. Sorry about the weather not being so great that first time you're here, but I think it's a little better today. And what I really wanted you to know is this is a place that I think everybody that works at PMI can feel right at home. I think you're going to find that not only, I know you're in New York and you're in Lausanne and London and, we don't have Coney Island, but we got some pretty nice beaches here. I think you're going to enjoy them. And, our mountains are not quite Verbier, I got to admit it, but really nice 2-hour drive. That's some of the things that make this place special. We got some of the greatest universities in the world. Folks come from around the world come to get educated here in Connecticut. And Jim and Indra said, we work hard to keep folks here. And we have a great workforce development program. I was here just the other day. We had our innovation scholars. We give people $5,000 if they graduate and get hired and stay here in the state of Connecticut. Do everything you can to make sure that you get the very, best people that you need. I was also struck in our conversations that PMI and Connecticut we're both sort of reinventing ourselves. You described a little bit your reinvention. IQOS, I quit ordinary smoking, a total change from where you've been. This is an industry that Sir Walter Raleigh started about 500 years ago or something. And Connecticut's reinventing itself as well. And you've got to continue to reinvent yourself. I come out of the private sector. If you don't reinvent yourself, you get run over. This is a state that had, we had TV. Now we're the leaders in digital media. We had finance and banking. Now we're leaders in fintech. We had medicine. Now we have biopharma. We're bringing IT to our old insurance industry, bringing IT to advanced manufacturing. You've got to continue to reinvent yourself, and that's what you're doing, and that's what I'm doing. That's what CEOs do. Can I just give a special shout out to some of our team here? I couldn't have done it without Jim and Indra and Peter Dinius and David Lehman. These are the guys that follow up every day. These are the relationships that make a difference. This is how a little state like Connecticut, punching above its weight class, gets on the radar screen of a great company like PMI. And I really appreciate what you're doing. And one last reason why I knew this was going to be a great relationship. Andre and I spent a fair amount of time in quarantine for the last year and a half in different parts of the ocean, and just comparing notes on how our respective states and countries were working our way through COVID. And in one of those conversations, I said, look, we've got a little cheeky of me, I got to admit, because PMI hadn't even formally said they were going to come to Connecticut, but I said, we're working hard to create a not-for-profit that's going to be able to help out folks in need during this COVID crisis where the feds can't step in. And Andre and PMI stepped up with a multi-million-dollar contribution to what we were trying to do. And it just tells me that you are going to be amazing members of the Connecticut family, and we could not be happier to be able to welcome you today.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor. What I thought I'd do is just engage Jacek and the Governor in some questions, and then turn it over to you for any questions you may have. So let me begin. Governor, let's tackle a tough question. What does it say about you, your view of big tobacco, and some of the criticism that leaders in the state have made about big tobacco, that the largest cigarette company in the world, who's working on disrupting itself, is coming to Connecticut? What would you say to those critics?
I'd say look at the new PMI. Listen to what Jacek said about how PMI will be defined over the next 3 to 5 years. What I said about innovation, what I said about being able to change with the times, and that's what PMI is doing. I'm proud they're here. I'm proud they have support from many different facets of our community. And I'm proud of the fact that a lot of people who are addicted to smoking today won't be addicted over the next 5, 10 years, thanks to a lot of the efforts they're making.
Thank you. Jacek, let me turn it to you. If I think about PMI in Connecticut in 5 years, 10 years, what more do you think you can bring to Connecticut beyond the first 200 jobs that you're bringing to the state?
Well, once you have the base, right, the new base in the U.S., it's obviously something which will be like, the sun, right? You have a gravity and gravitation, bringing everything here. So in the territory which I mentioned very much, when you go to the science, bioscience, medical, etc. Definitely we not, have no plans for the cigarettes. That's the past, which we want to, go very fast out of these things. Actually, 5 years from now, 4.5 years from now, to be very precise, I know how CEO works. A 3-year plan, 5-year plan. Our commitment, our aspiration commitment is to have more than a half of our revenues coming from non-combustible forms. In addition to this, 4.5 years from now, we promise that our aspiration is to have a first $1 billion revenue coming from the new products which are very much into this medical, therapeutical territory. So, our aspirations are very high. Definitely I can promise that our people will work very hard to get us there. You know how it is being CEO. I don't know whether I got there, but I know that I will work hard and my people work hard to get us there. And we demonstrated 5, 6 years ago when we said we want to go smoke-free, nobody believed us. Nobody. We had zero revenue coming from from these products. Quarter of our revenues already now is coming from this product. So the things goes very fast. But I do believe what you will appreciate, I hope you will appreciate, is this initial 200 people which we'll bring here, believe me, are very great people. And you will find them as excellent members of your communities here. They will come with their kids, with their families, etc. Philip Morris people are very good humans. They're very good humans. They have a heart, they have a soul, they know how to belong to the community, they know how to work in a community. And in every place which we operate, that's the culture of PMI. So it's a little bit of this judgment, legacy, if you like, on a PMI. At the moment you've met Philip Morris people, you will fall in love with them. This is what we're going to bring to you.
That's great. And Connecticut is a state that makes you fall in love with it. So I think it's going to be a mutual love affair. Governor, you know, we've had funds come from the American Rescue Plan, and we have an economic action plan for Connecticut. As Jacek thinks about the future of Philip Morris in Connecticut, what other investments do you see yourself making in the state to make this an even more aspirational state for business to come here?
Well, starting with the coming out of COVID and the American Rescue Plan money, I think as you pointed out, we're going to do everything we can to make this the most family-friendly state in the country. And that starts with the fact that we have the biggest expansion of daycare and childcare the state has ever seen. So that nobody will say, I don't think I can take that job at PMI because my kid can't be well taken care of. And it's also opportunity to make sure those kids get the very best opportunity in life. And we're starting that in 2 weeks. We're starting with free summer camps is what we're trying to do going forward. You know, secondly, as I said, we still have thousands of jobs in the state that people aren't trained for. And it's just shocking, and it's outrageous to me. And this is our opportunity to train people for the jobs. You don't necessarily need 4 years of college. Sometimes a 16-week program that we'll pay for at one of our community colleges. If you have special skill sets, Jacek, that you're looking for, let us know what that is. We can help train people. You know, as Indra said, you know, companies are going all over the world in a search for talent. I want to make sure, go no further. Stop right here. This is where you can be. And as everybody knows, my third big priority is transportation. It's an amazing state where you want to be, and more people are realizing you don't have to be in New York or Boston, or not to mention New Haven, you know, 5 days a week. But when you do have to be there, you want to be able to get there easily, quickly, and hassle-free. And we're going to be able to take 10 minutes off that commute into the city. We're going to have 5G along that lane, so that for those few folks that still want to stay in the city and don't know the beauty of Connecticut, it'll make it easier for them to get here.
Now, I tell you, every program that you're talking about, anytime I talk to companies wanting to come to Connecticut, they can't wait to, you know, beat a path to the state. And then, of course, David, it's up to you how you want to convert that to a real live investment. And I mean, for those of you who don't know, David Lehman, as the governor said, simply phenomenal head of economic development. It's been a pleasure working with you, David, truly. You want to clap for David? Jacek, I want to turn it back to you. I know you've talked about this already. You looked at a lot of places around the world you could have gone to. You talked about why you came to Connecticut. Talk a little bit about what kind of expectations you have for from the state going forward, and how can we make sure that we live up to your expectations?
Well, we actually, to be very true, I mean, we also look in quite a several number of states in the U.S. So use the comparison to the international, but we're also looking at a few places in the U.S. And we are here, right? So it tells you. I think we look in the number of the, you know, of the aspects of the criteria into this whole thing. Clearly that the receptions, knowing who we are, right, and how we might be perceived, that the people meet with us first time and they are open-minded. And we have a normal, what I call the civil conversation, is already something which, you know, is your first impression, right? Many things in your life starts with the first impression, and you can win it or you can lose it. You guys have win it. And then we had a conversation, we have won it, and then we had the conversations. We look at the educations. Obviously, the way where we want to drive the company to, there is even more to weight of the science and education. But education is going from the very beginning, as you rightly say, to people have an environment in which they feel okay with regards to their kids. right, to their children,
Right.
and that's very important. So obviously, I think, for employees, that's the place to be, because they will know that the kids, the children, when they're young, they have an access to the both public and private educations, which, meets their expectations, but later on is the same educations when you're looking at the workforce, right? So if you're covering, actually investing in educations from the very beginning till the very end of the ladder is a very, very smart idea, because you're covering both ends. You give a comfort to employees, as I said, and the employer later on when it comes to, where I want to source the stuff. Maybe because Connecticut is a smaller state, and we have a lot of experience from a country like Switzerland, and as you know, Switzerland is not the biggest type of establishment in the world. I mean, I think we will be seen. We will find the time to have a conversations, to have a discussions. Some people think that maybe it's better to be a bigger fish in a smaller pond than otherwise, and maybe that's our situation. So I'm really, we had the meetings not only with the governor, but also with all your representation, the representatives, etc., and even people who I know that they have a very strong opinion about the tobacco. They did open their mind, and we had a conversation. And I'm not asking for much, just give me a chance to talk, listen. We have a right to have a different opinions, but we should understand the facts and the science first. And then I do believe that with the right collaborations, we can really achieve a lot of great things. So this is what it is.
Thank you, Jacek. Questions from the audience? Insightful, brilliant questions from the audience.
You can call on people, Indra.
I can.
Good morning.
Back there? Yes, go ahead.
My name is Veronica Del Valle. I'm with Hearst Connecticut Media Group. I was just wondering if this decision, this momentous move, had anything to do with kind of the flavored vape ban that fell apart in the state senate that was pulled by the advocates. Did either have any influence on one another?
I think they're two totally unrelated. Obviously, PMI doesn't have anything to do with that. I'm the guy that tried to get rid of flavored vapes here in this state. I thought it was the right thing to do. We didn't get it through the legislature, and we're going to try again as soon as I can.
The answer is no.
Yeah, that's clearer.
Steve Singer from Current. Where in Connecticut will you relocate? Here in Fairfield County, do you know?
We're looking into a few locations in the lower Fairfield, and I will leave it to so many experts and advisors around who will direct me where the new offices of our corporate headquarters will be. I also have to admit we have a great guy here with us today, Lamont, who is a member of our board of directors. I believe his advice also in picking the final destinations will be taken into consideration. Connecticut resident, etc. So.
Other questions? Anybody else? Somebody, okay?
I'm sorry again. Are there any plans or any kind of foresight to holding PMI accountable? There are big plans to switch to this smoke-free vision. Is there a contingency plan or any kind of foresight on Connecticut's part on how quickly that may happen?
Well, the commitments of PMI, they made public and very frequently updated. I do encourage you, if you want to, and maybe you should actually spend a bit of a time to learn about the PMI. If you go to the PMI.com or our website, you go to our sustainability report. I know it's the words of the CEO, so they always have to be taken with some, a doubt. But I believe what this company is doing is really great on all aspects on the ESG and addressing the problem of smoking. So you will see our commitments, you will see our progress, and I encourage you to read our statement of purpose when the board of directors very clearly stated what is the direction for the company, what's the vision for the company. You cannot have a higher level of commitments coming from the corporate entity like what Philip Morris International have done. And we opened ourselves to the public scrutiny to judge us on our progress.
You know,
I'd only add that this is a different type of relationship. You're used to relationships where we pay people with incentives based upon a certain number of jobs, and there's none of that in this relationship at all. You know, we shook hands. They're going to come into the state, create a brand new product that makes a big difference, and we did that on a basis of trust.
Other questions? Yes, please.
You haven't designated a particular location just yet, but when will the doors actually be open for business?
I mean, our plan to be here summer next year, 2022. It's pretty stretched deadlines, but I do believe we can deliver on this.
Other questions?
Let's have breakfast.
Thank you all. Thank you all for coming today.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say again, this is a great day for Connecticut that a leading American company has chosen us for their corporate headquarters. And I just want to say a special thank you to Indra for leading this very stimulating, exciting discussion, to Governor Lamont for leading the Connecticut comeback, and to Jacek for leading the transformation of PMI and for your commitment to improving the lives of the people that you serve. That completes the organized portion of our discussion this morning, and we invite you all to mingle over here for a while, get to know one another, and share our perspectives on the great things happening in our great state. Thank you all for being here.
All right, buddy. How long are you around for?
Child, don't forget who you